on this Facebook Live, and I'm also streaming onto YouTube, so I appreciate you joining me. Today we're going to be talking about how to get your home offer accepted by the seller, which is really what's going on in the real estate market right now. We have a market that is absolutely on fire, and the reason for that is the inventory, the level of inventory that we have available for homes. It's not enough to meet the demand of the number of buyers that there are in the market right now. So I'm a big believer of being able to control the things that we have control over. We can control, how many offers are being presented at one point when we're working with a buyer, but there are certain things that we are able to do to make that offer more appealing to the seller. And for that reason, I wanted to create this video to give you guys some insight as to some of the strategies that could be had when you're working with us to get your offer accepted by the seller. And as you know, it's all about team efforts. So I don't think there's ever been a time that's more important to work with people that are working together on this, that have the level of expertise that you need to get those offers accepted. And for that, I have Jeremy McDonald with Mortgage Heroes with me today to talk to us about how to get your offer accepted. So let me just go ahead and bring Jeremy onto the video. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Angela.
Hi, welcome. I'm glad you took the time to do this with me today.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be on. I really look forward to this and hopefully getting some good, direction and advice out there for prospective home buyers, to make this mortgage buying or this home buying process a little bit easier in this very demanding market.
Yeah, it's definitely demanding. It could be sometimes a little brutal when you're trying to get an offer accepted and there's 12 other offers being presented on the same home at the same time. I have heard a lot of people getting, just kind of discouraged by that, and even sometimes just flat out being beat out by cash offers. So when you do have a loan that you're going to be using to purchase that home, there are certain things that can be done when it comes to the loan to help that offer stand out and be more compelling to the seller. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a few different things that, we're doing here to make your offer the best possible offer to, prospective sellers. So there's really three main things that we're doing.
Yep. So we're going to be going through those about getting your home offer accepted and the strategies to help you win. One of them is the 21-day closing guaranteed, which I thought was phenomenal because, I think the main reason why sellers tend to, prefer a cash transaction is because, how quickly those can come, to them, especially if this is a home that might be vacant, that they still have to pay a mortgage on, utilities, taxes, association fees. There's a certain carrying cost that's involved for, that's going to be costing that seller to hold that home in their name. So when you have a 21-day closing guarantee, that pretty much, takes some of that concern off the seller. So tell us about that 21-day closing guarantee, Jeremy.
Yeah, so closing quickly has always been something I've prided myself on. I feel that if me and my team, we're doing our job up front to make sure that when we send a pre-approval out, that there's no way that that's not going to close, then we can move quickly. So it's being proactive and not being reactive. It's anticipating, hey, we expect this person to be under contract. So, we already go ahead and in addition to just getting, documents, income, assets, and verifying everything, we'll go ahead and get verification of employment, and we'll do some of those additional things that we know that we're going to need, in that underwriting process. So when I issue a pre-approval, it's not, hey, we think we're going to close, we know we're going to close. So, in the past 3 years, I've only had one purchase that's not been able to close. And that was a situation with COVID where, the young lady that was purchasing, her hours got reduced from being full-time to part-time once she was already under contract. And there was just nothing that we could do about that. So rare situation. So, with 21-day closings, we do have a promise or a guarantee that we're going to make that happen. If it doesn't happen within 21 days, then we'll actually do a $150 per day credit to the seller until we do close. In addition to that, offering a $5,000 closing promise to the seller that if for some reason, other than the appraisal, that's the one thing I have no control over, but other than the appraisal, if we can't close that mortgage, then we actually will pay the seller directly $5,000. So,
Wow.
luckily not had to do that ever. So
that's pretty big. That's pretty much putting even more accountability to being able to close on time. I think this is a really sharp tool, again, to alleviate any concern from the seller. If you come with your offer fully pre-approved with a guarantee to close within 21 days, and in the rare circumstance that it does not close within 21 days, the seller would be due $5,000 from the lender. That's a pretty compelling situation that could make a big deal of difference on that offer.
Yeah, so just to kind of clarify that a little bit, if we don't close in 21 days, we pay the seller $150 per day to extend the contract out until we do close. If we can't close, period. So, let's say it was something to where that, we missed that the buyer had a foreclosure on their home and, a year ago, and we couldn't close that mortgage. Then in that scenario, that's when the $5,000 promise kicks in.
I see. Well, that's great. Again, that shows a greater level of accountability, and just the quality of that pre-qualification just goes much to a higher standard when you have all of these safeguards in place. One of the things that I've also seen very often in this market is that in order for a buyer to win an offer, many times we're going at full asking price or higher in order to, be compelling to the seller. The main concern that I have as a realtor when my buyer goes higher than the asking price is the appraisal, right? Because if you're using a loan, part of that process is going to involve that you get the home appraised. And the bank is only going to lend you what the home appraises for. So if you went ahead and offered, let's say hypothetically $10,000 higher than what the seller was asking for, with the intention of getting your offer accepted, and it did get accepted at $10,000 over the asking price, you're just hoping that it appraises for what you offered. But in the case that it does not, then now you have an appraisal gap. And that's a big concern because typically those gaps are something that the buyer would have to fill in addition to their closing costs and their down payment. So now the amount of cash that they would need to close has severely increased by the amount of the closing, the amount of the appraisal value. So tell us a little bit about what you do, Jeremy, to close that appraisal gap for our buyers.
Sure. So there's a couple things kind of at play right now, that we're seeing, and unfortunately not every listing agent is as experienced and knowledgeable as you are, and so some of the time, some of the listings that we see, I've asked a few listing agents, hey, where did you get this value from? And they're like, well, I got this other value that's $30,000 less than what we're under contract for. And I'm like, okay, don't be surprised if the appraisal comes in short. So because that is happening and there's just so much competition in the market, we are seeing some appraisals come in low. And so what we do with that, so, the key is that as a home buyer that you have your money for your down payment and your closing costs. So in the state of Florida, closing costs are typically going to run about 3% of the purchase price. So, if you're purchasing a $350,000 home, your closing costs are going to be about $10,500. So if that was your scenario right there, that you're bringing your down payment plus that $10,500 to closing. So, for a customer in that scenario, what we could offer is, on that purchase contract, a clause on there that the buyer is willing to pay $10,500 above appraised value if it does not appraise for the contract price. Now, what we do with that, because of course we can only lend off of what the home appraises for. So if it did come in $10,500 light, what we can do is instead of the buyer bringing $10,500 in closing cost, we can give them a little bit of a higher interest rate so that we can give a credit to cover the closing cost. That way, instead of them taking $10,500 for closing cost, it can go to cover the shortage on that appraisal. So, it's something that's been really working out really well so far this year. Every appraisal that has came in under contract price, which has been quite a few, we've still been able to get every single one of them closed.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then again, we try to, as agents, I personally try to make sure that we have a balance and everyone feels happy about the transaction, that it's a win-win. So I think that this is a really good way of keeping the buyer safe, so they are able to extend their offer at the price that they feel comfortable offering, but at the same time, they have a recourse that is available to them should that appraisal come in low. Yep. Again, in comparison to having to come out of pocket with the whole gap, plus the closing costs, plus the down payment. So this really offers, a financial benefit, being able to structure the transaction that way. And I really think that could make a difference in, putting this sales together now with all that's going on in the market and how competitive it is. Just the more being able to think outside the box and be able to come up with creative ideas to make your offer stand out, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And this market is a difficult market. And, one of the things about any type of tough or difficult situation is it's always going to present an opportunity for people that are creative, for people that are willing to go the extra mile, and that, have that work ethic and that skill. It gives them the opportunity to rise to the top. So, this gives your offer the opportunity to rise to the top as well, because it is a difficult market and it's going to set your offer apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think there's ever been a time that is more important to work with people that are, again, have the level of expertise, that know what they're doing to be able to get your offer accepted. The alternative to that would be a very frustrating process where you have to submit too many offers. And I just see too many people getting discouraged. And the way to turn that around is just to be able to control the things that you have control over and set up the offer in the best possible light. So I thought this was really good. I appreciate you coming on the video with me today, Jeremy. I have your information scrolling through the video. So if anyone wants to connect with Jeremy about getting pre-qualified for a home loan, I'd love to help with the sales part of that transaction and help get you guys into the home that you've been looking for.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being on, and I really have enjoyed this. And, so we service all the state of Florida. I also do have a Spanish speaking loan partner on my team. So we do. Yep. So we're definitely here. Our goal is to make customers for life and treat everybody like family. So
that sounds great.
If anyone out there is interested, please feel free to call me, text me, or email, and love to talk with you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And until next time, remember to be kind to one another and reach out if you guys need anything. Talk to you soon.